Good afternoon. Welcome to Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion. Today we are talking about the Springfield 3, when nothing looks wrong and everyone is gone. Framing the silence. There are some cases that announce themselves with violence. Broken doors, noise, blood. And then there are cases like the Springfield 3, where nothing looks wrong at all. On the morning of June 7th, 1992, a home in Springfield, Missouri looked ordinary, almost too ordinary. Cars were parked outside, purses sat where they'd been set down, cigarettes were left unfinished, a television hummed on static. The only thing missing were the people. This is not a story about chaos, it's a story about absence. The last ordinary day, Saturday, June 6, 1992, was graduation day. Suzanne Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall walked across the stage at Kickapoo High School. There were photographs, cake, plans for the next morning. That night unfolded the way graduation nights do. Parties, laughter, checking in with parents, plans shifting as the evening went on. At 10:30 p.m., Stacy called her mother to say she and Susie weren't going to Branson after all. They'd stay closer to home and meet friends in the morning. At 11:15 p.m., Susie's mother, Cheryl Levitt, was on the phone with a friend, talking about painting furniture, about varnish, and about ordinary things. Cheryl Levitt was a cosmetologist, a working single mother. She had come home that night with a full day's receipts from the salon, money that would still be sitting untouched in her purse the next morning. Nothing about this night suggested danger. There weren't warning signs. They were routines. Just after 2 a.m., Susie and Stacy left their final party. A short time later, they were believed to have arrived at the home on East Delmar. And this is where the case quietly turns. Inside the house, evidence suggested they made it home. Makeup removed, clothes changed, personal items set down. They didn't vanish on the road. They didn't disappear between plans. They arrived, and then something happened. Suzanne Streeter, Susie, as she was known, had only recently moved back in with her mother. Friends later recalled that the house had received unsettling prank calls in the weeks prior. Unusual, but not unheard of. No one knew then that those details would later feel heavy. Morning, when concern didn't yet mean alarm. The next morning, friends tried calling, no answer. When they arrived at the house, the front door was unlocked. The glass globe of the porch light was shattered. But it didn't feel like a crime scene. It felt like someone had stepped out. Instinct took over. The broken glass was swept up. The house was entered. People moved carefully, but normally. No one did anything wrong, and yet everything that couldn't be replaced was quietly lost. The house is a failed witness. Investigators later described the scene as desolate, not because it was damaged, but because it was intact. Cars, keys, purses, cash, IDs, all left behind. Cigarettes untouched, though 2 of the women were smokers. The family dog alive and distressed. One window blind bent awkwardly, as if someone had looked out or in. An answering machine held a message that might have mattered. It was played once and then erased. There was no blood, no forced entry, no DNA belonging to a suspect. The house had nothing to say. Why evidence never solidified? When people think of unsolved cases, they often imagine missed clues or investigative failure. But here, the truth is more unsettling. The scene never had the chance to speak. Human care, checking, cleaning, comforting, collided with the fragile reality of forensic evidence. As we know, this was the early 90s. So a lot of the things that we currently have at our fingertips weren't available, likely. A lot of the DNA evidence, a lot of the forensic stuff that we've dealt with and have at our disposal now most likely wasn't around in 1992. Not because no one tried, but because nothing screamed. Context, not connection. It's tempting to look for a single explanation, a single person, a single moment. But what emerges instead is context. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, disappearances across the Midwest often shared the same unnerving features. Ordinary settings, abandoned cars, personal items left behind, investigations starved of early evidence. This doesn't mean the cases were connected. It means the conditions were before DNA databases, before instant communication, before disappearance automatically meant danger. Springfield did not happen in isolation, but it never found gravity in a single direction. Remembering them as people. Stacy McCall was expected at work the next day. She was known for calling home and for keeping her plans. When she didn't show up, people noticed immediately. That matters. Because it tells us these women were not drifting. They were expected. They were connected. They were living inside relationships and routines. So in closing, some cases ask to be solved. Others ask something harder. To be remembered without resolution. To sit with uncertainty. To accept that closure is not guaranteed, unfortunately. The Springfield Three did not disappear in chaos. They disappeared in the middle of ordinary life. And maybe that's why the silence still echoes. It is my hope for those that lost these three individuals that they will have resolution at some point. My heart goes out to those who are mourning the loss of the Springfield Three. Because that has to be a really difficult place to be. My heart goes out to you, and I do pray that you are able to get some sense of closure. Because I can't imagine going through something like that. Sending prayers and hugs to those who have dealt with this since 1992. Again, thank you for tuning in to Grace and Gavel, where truth meets compassion. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. In memory of Stacy, Susie, and Cheryl.